So good day guys. Today I shall be speaking about Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics in a rather layman language without any complicated mathematics and all. Let's begin. See, before we get into the picture, let's have an understanding. As far as physics is concerned, most of the constituent particles, it's actually divided into either fermions or bosons. And by fermions, that is fermions, it includes electrons, protons, neutrons, etc., which are having half integer space. And the best example for a boson are the photons, which are having integer space. And basically there are three types of statistics which we follow. Depends upon its use. If we are considering the classical particle like atoms or molecules, we will be going for the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution, which I call it MB, Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics. And if you are dealing with the fermions, we will be going for the Fermi-Dirac statistics. And for bosons, we go for the Bose-Einstein statistics. To get an understanding of these three, well, the Maxwell-Boltzmann, it will be going for the classical particle like molecules and all, molecules, atoms and all. They shall be distinguishable as well as indistinguishable. And as far as Fermi-Dirac is considered, we shall be going for fermions like electron, they are actually indistinguishable, and they also follow the Pauli's exclusion principle. And for the Bose-Einstein statistics, it shall be applied for the bosons actually, which are the photons. Let me represent it by like this, photons. They too are indistinguishable, but compared to fermions, they do not obey Pauli's exclusion principle. So what I am going to say is that what you meant by indistinguishable as well as Pauli's exclusion principle. You can understand what is that? What you meant by indistinguishable? What we understand from indistinguishable particles. Okay? Let's take the consideration of an atom. That I consider an atom which is having a nucleus in the center and an electron is revolving around it. Okay. And if I consider this electron as a particle, as the time progresses, it has to spin in to the nucleus, and it has to go into the nucleus, and the entire atom have to disintegrate approximately in 10 to the power minus 14 seconds. But this we are not actually observing. Whether all the atoms are not disintegrating in this time, the reason is that we consider quantum mechanically, we consider electron as a wave which is associated with a unique wave function which I coin it as phi. Okay. let's consider another electron, say another electron which is also considered as a wave having another wave function, let's say phi1. Suppose we take these two electrons and the wave distribution is very close to each other. For example, this is our initial wave having phi. Okay, the second one we take it as like this. Okay, it is phi2, phi1 actually. See, these two particles are indistinguishable. The problem, because we cannot see, this distance between this is very small. If I take it as delta, delta will be very much less. Okay, so these are indistinguishable because we cannot resolve the distance between them. We cannot resolve the distance between them. And as per this rule, for indistinguishability and distinguishability, it generally based upon the, see, if it is a wavelength, I take it as to the wavelength of my function lambda. If this wavelength, the lambda of the wave associated with the particle is very much less than the separation, if I say delta separation, delta where delta I go into as separation, if the wavelength is much smaller than the distance between or the separation, the particle is distinguishable. We can find it as distinguishable. Because we can easily separate out both the wave functions because the delta value is much high. So that's how we understand whether it is a distinguishable or distinguishable particle. In the case of molecules, for example, in the case of molecules, the wavelength associated with the molecules are much less compared to the distance between them. And for in the case of electrons, the wavelength and the separation are comparable. So means which are rather hard to identify, separate between them. So it is considered as indistinguishable particle, and that is actually we need to understand about distinguishable and indistinguishability. And now to Pauli's exclusion principle. What do you mean by Pauli's exclusion principle? Now we can speak about Pauli's exclusion principle. Pauli's exclusion principle. See, as we have considered electron as a wave, or we take the wave nature of the electron quantum mechanically, so it have to satisfy the Schrodinger's wave equation. One thing is that if we considered the electron as a wave having wave function phi, so it have to satisfy the Schrodinger's wave equation. I am not associating any complex mathematical term into this description because it is for the understanding purpose. So what Schrodinger wave, it have to agree with the Schrodinger wave equation, and the Schrodinger wave equation is said to have the solution. It is said to have the solution, which essentially say that energy of energy of the electron must be discrete. See, when we solve the Schrodinger equation, we will get that the energy of, and see what we get is that the energy of an electron must occupy certain states. That's what we actually, and it cannot occupy any other state than what is mentioned or what we have found. And if you are plotting it, that is, if we are having E taken in this direction, and these are the different number of states, we are taking, that is for n is equal to 1, n is equal to 2, n is equal to 3, etc. See, it can have infinite number of states. If you are considering like this, it can have infinite number of states, and each states are discrete, separate, and the most important thing is that no electrons or no particle can exist in between these two states. Either it have to be here or here or here, but it cannot be in between, because the probability maximum will be only here only, in each states only. So, and what Pauli's exclusion principle states that the number of electrons that can occupy a certain state is determined by the Pauli's exclusion principle. Pauli's exclusion principle state that no two electrons can have the same 4 quantum number. For example, take the lowest state of whatever we have considered. So take the lowest state, n is equal to 1, and consider that E here. Consider that it has an electron having spin up and spin down. So this state we call it as 1s, where we are having 2, so it is 2. And for the second it can accommodate 8. Like this it can accommodate 8. 8 electron in the n is equal to 2, which have the degeneracy, but we are not speaking about the degeneracy now. Just taking the light picture over here. So Pauli's exclusion principle states, and by contrast, if you are taking rather than electron, if you are considering photons, which are bosons actually, it does not obey Pauli's exclusion principle. So it can fill in as many number possible in any state, especially in the ground state itself. It can fill infinite number of times. This is what actually Pauli's exclusion principle states. Now to the real part. We can now understand what is Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution function or statistics base. Okay, for that, let us consider this room, okay, having a definite volume, and consider that it is filled with n number of atoms. For our simplicity, I am taking it as to be, let it be oxygen and nitrogen is filled within this atom. So let this be our room. It is having n number of particles. Let it be O molecules. Let it be oxygen or nitrogen molecule. Okay, they are free to move within. We are taking certain assumptions that these are free particles and classical particles, so they are free to move, which means that the potential energy is 0. And these are free to move within, and while they are moving, they collide with the walls. Also, they collide with the particle itself. So there will be change in momentum while due to the collision, as well as their motion. See, there will be due to the collision, there will be change in kinetic energy as well as in momentum, which implies that each molecule will have their own velocity. Also, which implies that this gives independently each will be having its own kinetic energy. So the total energy can be determined, since potential energy is 0, it will be half m v square, where v is the kinetic energy, v is the kinetic energy. See, when the molecule hits the wall and rebounds, there is a change in momentum happens. The force it experiences will be what? Force will be change in momentum. This change in momentum is d by dt, let's say. It is a change in momentum. This change in momentum is described as a force. And also the pressure it experiences will be the force acting per the unit area. Means this force acting over this area, which implies the pressure. See. Now if we kept the volume constant, okay, that if we kept the volume constant, there is a law that pressure is directly proportional to temperature. That if you take it as the pressure in the y-axis and temperature here, see, And if we fix the temperature initially at this point and lowers the temperature, we can see that the pressure decreases linearly as the temperature decreases, and it reaches a point where pressure P is equal to 0. This point or this temperature is the absolute temperature, which is equal to 0 degree Kelvin, which is approximately minus 273 degrees Celsius. 273 degrees Celsius. And if the pressure is 0, implies that since force have to be 0, by taking this equation, if pressure is 0, the force have to be 0. And if the force is 0, which implies that the change in momentum have to be 0. The change in momentum is 0, which means that the velocity, it is also 0. Or in other case, these particles at 0 degree Celsius or 0 degree Kelvin, they are not in motion. They are actually stationary. That which implies that at absolute 0, all the kinetic energy has been taken out. And essentially they are stationary. Now if we plot a graph actually, having energy in the e-axis and total number of molecules having that much of energy in this y-axis, what we are going to get is a distribution actually. We get a distribution like this, a Gaussian distribution we will be receiving, which says that, see the graph, it implies that there are some molecules, see in this part, there are some molecules, associate this much, there are some molecules having lower energy, as well as there are a few number of molecules having higher energy, but most of them shall be accumulated approximately at the average energy E. Most of them, the maximum number is found to be at this state. This is happened to be in temperature T1, and temperature, it is energy is also associated with temperature by the equation E is equal to kT, where K is the Boltzmann constant, where it comes approximately 10 to the power minus 23 joule per Kelvin, or is approximately 10 to the power minus 4 electron volts per Kelvin. Okay. See, as the energy, average energy is dependent on temperature. If you rise the temperature, if take the temperature T2, where T2 is greater than T1, the Gaussian shift or broadens. It will be like, see it, broadens like this. It states that T2, it will be having more number compared to the first one, more number of electrons or more number of particles having higher energy in the lower state. Okay, and one thing is that the energy under both the curves, whatever the curve may be, the area under the curve will be equal, because it states that see, this actually states that total number of particles, so the area under the curve have to be equal. And if you reduce the temperature T, if you reduce, it flattens up to like this and this and this, which each time we flattens up, the area remains the same, and at E is equal to 0 or T is equal to 0, it will be going like this. It states that it will be having, no, it won't be having 0 energy, but the curve goes to, it won't be going to necessarily 0 energy, because quantum mechanically 0 energy is not possible. So it won't go to 0 energy. Rather, it does not have any kinetic energy, and all the particle will be accumulated in the lowest state. And whatever energy it is having, it will be based on the certain internal energy it is having. And now, if we divide this number with the total number, this and also plot it against the energy, we are going to get the same curve, same graph, where this n by nt, actually n by nt, it gives the measure of probability of the molecule having a particular energy. Here the n by nt, this is the probability that a particle having a particle, probability of a particle to have a particular energy. And this probability is what all the Maxwell, Boltzmann, Fermi, Dirac and Bose-Einstein statistics is all about. That they tell you what probability of an energy state being occupied by a particle. Now, I am not going to derive the mathematical form of Maxwell statistics, which I shall be providing with the link in the description below. The Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution function, or the probability distribution of Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution function, is given by f of e is equal to 1 by e to the power e by kt. Okay, let's take it as equation number 1. Now let us take some cases. First case is that let's take t is equal to 0. What we can understand from this equation? If you take t is equal to 0, which means at absolute temperature, what will happen? Before that, consider that we take an equation y is equal to 1 by x. It implies that if x tends to 0, means if x decreases, y will be increasing. So y tends to infinity, and the vice versa happens. If x tends to infinity, the y will be reduced. So as limiting for our purpose, we shall be taking 1 by 0 as infinity, and 1 by infinity is equal to 0. In that case, when t is equal to 0 implies from here it will be 1 by e to the power e by 0, which is equal to 1 by e to the power infinity, which is equal to 1 by infinity, which is equal to 0, which state that there is no probability. See, this function actually gives you the probability that an electron occupies a certain particular energy state. So when you get 0, which means that there is no probability that a molecule will be occupying the state, occupying at the energy state at absolute 0, because at this time all will be in the lowest possible energy state. And if you are plotting it graphically, what we can understand is that, see, what we will be getting if we are plotting the probability function over here and the versus energy, you will be getting an exponential, reducing exponential graph at a particular temperature T1. It states that, see, lowest energy state you can find the maximum probability is found in the lowest state, and the minimum probability is found in the highest energy state. So most of the time, most of the particles shall be occupying the highest probable state, which is the lowest energy state. And if we are increasing the temperature, let's say T2, where T2 is greater than T1, we will get a curve which is a little more broadened up like this. So though it follows the same curve, T2, it states that here the probability, see here the number from probability will be more, but the energy state, as temperature increases, more number of energy state. And this is what actually Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution says. It states, or it gives, the probability that that particular energy state will be occupied at a higher temperature. Thank you.